Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the fifth, we found out, fifth Emerge, right? I can't believe it's been 5 years already.
I know, it's a good event.
It's awesome. The event is called Building a Business Worth Having. Thanks so much for coming and attending. They made us the opening act. I don't know how I feel about that, right?
I feel very nervous
Happy
about
anniversary.
Let's get going. Ready?
All right.
Hi, I'm Steve Oakers.
Julie Bacon.
Sue Pasteur.
Cheers.
Cheers.
And this is what's
This
in the
is
cup.
what's in the cup.
It's weird live.
Yeah. So I don't know how many of you have watched our videos over the last year. Yeah, last week was our 1 year anniversary, right, of doing these videos together as a threesome called What's in the Cup. And we were asked to come today to talk about, cultivating productive relationships, right? And the idea of connecting with fellow real estate agents, mortgage lenders, title reps, all of that kind of thing. And the idea of how did we get connected, and then how could we help you guys connect with other business professionals in growing those relationships. So how did we get this thing started, Sue?
So about just over a year ago, we were sitting at Ferris Coffee, and we were having a conversation, and
Trying to solve the world's problems.
Yes. And we're very collaborative, and because we each have a different perspective on things, we were throwing around an idea, and all of a sudden Steve is like, this is really good. Like, this is really good. We should tape this. And Julie and I said, nope. We absolutely should never do that. Like, that sounds terrible. And he was serious. He wanted us to do it like that minute. But
we should have Facebook Live before Facebook Live was a thing, right?
Yes. But the whole thought behind it was we have a collaborative community of all of the realtors, lenders, title, and we wanted feedback. We wanted, okay, there's other people. We want to join this conversation. What are other people thinking? How do we engage? And so after Julie and I called each other behind Steve's back and we're like, are we really doing this? He lured us into the office. And we were so nervous, we had to put something in our cups.
Yeah, I was like, wait, can we have a beer? We split one beer between the three of us.
Yep.
And it was that instant.
And we clinked glasses and said, what's in the cup? And so we took what we felt was a good collaborative relationship and tried to share and open up dialogue within our industry about different topics. So that's what brought us here today.
Well, and also I think the conversation at Ferris talked a lot about the room that we're in right now, that we only participate, if we don't participate together, we're not going to succeed together,
Correct.
Right? And so the idea of that relationship, that we need to have all of these relationships out here in this space and then together. And it was, as you guys know, when you're writing 10 offers like we did, like I know some agents had, we were number 2 this week. The idea is we have to be able to work together, right? And it was starting to get real aggressive, right? In our industries, and
Trade was going crazy.
Trade was going crazy, and we said, hey, how do we communicate in a way that says this is valuable, right? That relationships and hanging out with people and growing these relationships are valuable. So, Sue and Julie, how do we do that, right? How do we get started with building relationships?
Can I use a personal example?
Sure.
Yes.
Steve, you were at Target.
Oh.
When I first got in the biz dev side, and this is just a great story.
What is
on how
biz
to
dev
start.
again?
Business development.
Business development.
I make
Okay.
friends. Anyways, it was like 5 years ago, a little over 5 years ago, and I first met with Heather Russ. I don't know where you are, but
Where's
you're
Heather?
here.
Woo-woo, in the back.
And she was with Grauer, and I was like, hi, I'm Julie. Who do I need to know? And she's like, named a bunch of people. She's like, but Steve Volker's birthday is next week, and they're celebrating it at YPN. So I was like, got it. Researched him.
She kind of stalked me.
Yeah, I did.
feel a
I
little
stalked
awkward.
him. And then I met him at his birthday. And then, that's how it started.
Yep,
So I
yep.
researched, then was at a networking event, had a conversation. What happens next?
And you love networking events. Like, that's your jam, right? In a way, like, that's how you start this building relationship.
I still freak out every time before I walk into one.
Yeah.
You're still walking into a room full of people.
Yeah.
But
now
yeah.
you just throw the parties and we all come to your party, right?
Great job. Whenever she has an idea and you kind of think, ooh, really? And then she executes it absolutely beautifully.
Thank
And that's
you.
the way that you start a lot of relationships. So like for the people in the room, it's like, how do you start that? How do you attend and go to them and make meaningful relationships? How do you, before you come into an event like this, or to engage with your prospects, your buyers, your sellers, what are you doing before you go to say, there's people I want to connect with. There's people that I want to know better. How do we do this? So you did this, but then I would like to take from the targeting and saying that to when you find those people and you like them, your business becomes more fun. It's just more fun to do business with people that you enjoy, and that's not a bad thing. You can have 3,000 Facebook friends, you can have 2,000 people in your database, but there are people that are going to be meaningful relationships that are going to be real with you, that are going to give you honest feedback, that are going to challenge you, and look for them. And I'll talk a little bit about
Sometimes they're
time
not always
blocking
your
for that.
target. Sometimes you stumble across them, like you
I think
and I.
often.
Yeah.
You stumble across them, and then it's like or you find something out through someone else, like this person has great value, and it's
I
not
need to
always
know
the
them.
the working relationship.
Yeah.
So what do you
Well, we talked about this before we came up here. For me, it's who do I want to hang out with, right? Like, life is so much better if I can hang out with people that I enjoy than people I don't, right?
Yes.
And so how do we create productive relationships with sphere of influence people and with fellow real estate agents in a way that you enjoy this time together, right? That this we call this work. We get paid for this, right? But yet this doesn't feel like work, right?
Yeah.
This is just truly hanging out and enjoying life together. So the more that those relationships could be about hanging out and doing business next to each other, the better, right?
Absolutely.
So, we've talked a lot about this idea of giving before you plan on receiving. And this maybe I shouldn't ad-lib, but I'm going to, which is always my problem.
Yeah,
There's a lot of business now that's coming with like trying to get before you give, right?
Yes.
Let me help you with marketing. Let me help you with this or this or this, before really building relationship, right, in our industry. And so I think that the idea of giving way before getting is key to really having a productive relationship. If it's built on getting, it's not going to last very long, right?
Well, I mean, I'm ad-libbing too, but it's just not being a great person. If every time you go into something, your expectation is you're going to get something back. There are lots of people in this industry, lots of people probably in this room that I'd love to work with all of them, but I don't. And I have great respect and value for the amount of knowledge that each of you has, that what you've done in your business and something I can learn from. So I'll give a quick example. I was at a networking event. It was Steve's, I don't know, maybe 5-6 years ago. And I met a lady Kristen Hartnagel, some of you might know. She's a trainer. And I didn't know her at the time and just became interested in her and her story, and was able to refer her to brokerages and to people who used her, and that was great. I filled a need for some people, and I didn't expect anything in return, but as reciprocal relationships go, 1.5 years went by. She wound up selling and then buying, and told her agent, I want to work with Susan. I really enjoyed our relationship, and it came around, and it wasn't because we owed one another a thing. We just were able to help each other in our business, and that was great.
So what are some of those giving things that you guys really feel is the way to create that relationship, right? So what are some of those items of giving that you try to portray or to react to?
First and foremost, listen. What's important? What is the definition of giving to that person? It's different for absolutely everybody.
Every single one, yeah.
I try to, my first follow-up meeting, I guess,
Yeah.
from my target, no, I'm just
Yeah.
kidding, is, tell me about your business. What do you want for your future? What can I do to help you? And that doesn't necessarily mean money or sponsorships. It's
Right.
literally, hey, let's collaborate and use each other's brain and come up with some harebrained idea.
Absolutely. I think taking yourself outside of your industry as well, and just becoming interesting It's, whether it's an organization, whether it's a nonprofit or something that you're interested in, you're going simply or participating in life and becoming more interesting, not because they're going to buy a house from you, or they might, and that might become a great reciprocal relationship, but you're giving into whether it's your community, something that you're interested in, and being fulfilled.
Becoming, right?
And,
Yes.
and then it does come back. And even if it's not in that business relationship, I always say I should read something that I wouldn't normally read or go to something I wouldn't normally go to, because I could be more interesting.
Yeah. Well, we all have
I don't know
resources,
about that.
right? Like we all have resources, and we all can use those to help other people, or we could all retain those, right? And so I think part of our conversation of What's in the Cup traditionally is how do we educate or how do we participate in life with people that are watching and with each other in a way that hopefully we're sharing our experiences and our knowledge. But we all have something. We all have something to give to this industry, to each other, and we're going to hear that as the day progresses. I think from other people is how do you give, right? How do you participate in life with each other in a way that that people say, wow, there's somebody I'm attracted to, right? And in that attraction of giving, that's when the relationship can participate in being productive, right? So
Yes.
when we started this, we didn't really always work together, right?
Nope.
I mean, that was the fun of it. It wasn't built on, hey, we work together and here's all the business that we create
Yeah,
together.
nothing
It was truly on, hey, we all have different perspectives and we all need to know the other side of the business, right?
Yes.
So we talked about giving and getting, kind of a thing. What else do you guys have that you want to add to it?
One of the things I was, of course, mindful of this talk throughout the last week, and it's called Building Productive Relationships. And I thought it seems really obvious, so I apologize if this seems remedial, but they take time. And it means time blocking. And I have lists on my iPad of those of you that I've met, worked with, people in my personal life, people in, church or nonprofit, in my family, that I say, have I connected with these people? Because if we don't do it, they will fade away. You think of relationships you had, whether high school or college or 10 years ago, the people that you want to engage with, you have to make time for. So there's a group, we'll say like the team, we need to have a team event. We set time to be together. I set time with each of my kids. In my company, we have something that's a marketing action plan. And in that, every 8 weeks, I have to write, who do I have to give appreciation to? And I have to sit down and put names on paper and go, wow, they did something for me. They did something for me. So being very intentional about who you want to thank, who you want to connect with, and make sure that you're putting them in your calendar, or that will go away.
Right.
I need to add that, the appreciation. I found out that I have a system, but I didn't know it. Our marketing team they said, well, what do you do? I'm like, I don't know what I do. I just do it. Well,
Throw parties.
Yeah, throw
Right.
parties, duh. But I actually do have a system, and they watched me and put the system down. And I
Yeah.
just saw it on Thursday, and I was like, wow, that's what I do. I just couldn't vocalize it. But it is
Right.
a lot of follow-up and just saying hi and what can I do for you?
Well, and you said, productive relationships take time. And you never know when one's going to be productive or not. And productive doesn't always have to be money, but it's amazing how life adjusts, right? So with 4 children, my life is completely different than what it was when you probably met me as a target 5 years ago,
We
right?
swapped.
Right?
Yeah.
We did, right? You're at the parties and I'm at home,
Yeah.
right? So life changes and that's okay, right? And so creating productive relationships might change as well, right? Those relationships that you have at one point might be different at another point, and that's okay,
Absolutely.
right? We've talked about
Yes.
that a little bit. Of
Yeah.
how do we work through that?
Yeah. My friend of mine told me, we were talking about this, and she said there's those perfect relationships that we call like the 100%ers, that like everything, you fit on a personal level, a professional level, all different, like school, your kids maybe go to school, you've got all this great commonality and those are fun. But there's other people, she said, that are like 25%ers. So the analogy would be like parents at my kids' school. I connect with them about, volleyball and things at school and all this, and I really like that person and they're in this segment of my life. And there's other people that will cross our sphere in our path that are like, this is great for my business development, they're a mentor, or they're with my kids' lives, mutual parenting. And then you maintain all of those, and some of those grow into that 100% part, which is kind of where we started. It was like, okay, we started with this business, and we got to know each other as people and family, and it just grows. So nurturing.
Well, and trust grows over time with those different things that change, right? So someone might be 20 or 30%, but then as time goes on, the connection grows, right?
Absolutely.
To where you trust me enough to be up on the stage with me, right? Which you still this morning didn't know if you wanted to do.
I haven't slept in like 5 days.
So in the productive, how are we doing? 2 minutes? Okay, cool.
I have something I want to
please,
mention
throw it
that
out.
kind of has to go with the productive relationships. But I mean, everyone's in this room, so they understand the power of networking with each other and knowing each other. And I just think that that is just one majorly important thing. From a lot of people who know me have heard me say this, but we deal with rough deals and stuff like that. And it's so much easier to be able to pick up the phone and go, dude,
Yeah.
what are we going to
This
do
is going
about
sideways,
this?
right? How do we
Yeah,
handle
let's
it?
let's collaborate and get it together. So with that, I do want to give a shout out to all my lending partners in the room that over the years have been very collaborative with me. So
Right. Got anything to finalize, Sue? That we
I
didn't
think I'm
mention?
good. Do you
You're
have
good?
any-
You
yeah.
got anything?
let me see.
Oh, you got to check
No,
notes?
no, I'm good.
Good. Well, thank you so much for being a participant in What's in the Cup today. We hope that this brought you some light. If it's just to hang out with us for 15 minutes and
Thank
that's
you.
it, great. But just
We were able to stretch again.
right,
Like,
do something different,
Yeah.
right? Just maybe take some time to think about who it is that could be that productive relationship if you put the time and energy into it, right? Write that person down or write those 5 people down and say, what would life look like if I hung out with those 5 people? Would it adjust my business? Would it stretch me to do something like this, being on stage? What would life look like if I pushed myself a little bit to get to know somebody different? There's lots of people in the room that you might be Facebook friends with but never met or haven't talked to in a year, right? So take some time today, as this conference is really about building businesses worth having. I think it's a way better business if you can have it with each other in this room so that we all grow and the knowledge in helping our clients better. So I'm Steve Oakers,
Sue Pastor.
Julie Bacon.
and this is What's in the Cup. Thanks, guys. Cheers.
1, 2, 3, 4. Love your